Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Ya Fatah, Ya Alim, iftah lana fathan qariba wa zidna ilma. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to this series where we go through Al-Muqaddimah al-Jazariyyah line by line. Last time we covered line 3, so make sure you go back and watch that and the previous ones if you haven't. Today we'll cover the 4th line, inshallah. And usual, let's start by reciting it. وَبَعْدُ إِنَّ هَذِهِ مُقَدِّمَةٌ فِيمَا عَلَى قَارِئِهِ أَن يَعْلَمَهُ. What does that mean? Thereafter, indeed, this is an introduction to what a reciter of it must know. Okay. So this verse formally opens the instructional section of al-Jazariyyah. So in this 4th line, Ibn al-Jazari, he transitions from the invoking blessings into formally beginning the subject of his poem. So after praising Allah and sending salat and salam upon the Prophet ﷺ and honoring those connected to the Quranic transmission, he now announces that what follows is an introduction, a structured beginning to a science that every reciter should know. And this line marks the shift from the spiritual preparation to instruction. Okay, so guiding the student into the actual content of the poem. And as usual, let's go through it word for word. وَبَعْدَ. And this is translated in many different ways. Thereafter, as to what follows. Okay, this is a classical sunnah device used by scholars when transitioning from the opening praises into the main subject. It's the same as saying, having said that, let's begin. Okay, so it's used signals that the preface is complete and the teaching now begins. Okay, it's the prophetic way to split the praise at the beginning of a speech with the actual content of it. Inna. The next one is inna, which means indeed or certainly. It's a particle of emphasis, which Ibn al-Jazari uses to underscore the importance of what he's going to talk about. It's as if he's saying, pay attention, there is no doubt in what comes next. Hādhihī. Now this hādhihī, it's easily translated as this, can point to a lot of different things. It can point to the poem directly itself, and that's the general use of it. And that's what most of the scholars say that hādhihī refers to. Or it could be more specifically this introduction to tajwīd. Okay. But there is also a more deeper, more subtle possibility. So hādhihī could be in reference to the poetic meter he's using. And when it comes to poetic meters, these are called buhur, or in the singular, a baḥr. And the baḥr that uses is baḥr al-rajaz, okay, rajaz, which follows the pattern of mustaf'ilun, 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 okay, in one hemistick. And so 6 times for the entire line, okay? And some scholars mention that he may be gesturing to the structure, the style, and the rhythm of the poem itself. So its form. So this hādhihī is its form, not just its content. So in classical Arabic rhetoric, it's possible for the demonstrative pronoun, the hādhihī, the this, to refer to the poem, could refer to the introduction, could be its meter and structure, or the composition as a whole. So hādhihī elegantly captures all these layers at once. Then he says muqaddimah, an introduction. He identifies the poem as a muqaddimah, a structured foundational text intended to summarize core concepts and as a guide for beginners. It could also be a function as a starting point for deeper study. By calling it an introduction, he sets expectations. So this poem outlines the essential stuff that you need and does not go into advanced details, which would take volumes to write. Okay. At the beginning of the second hemistich, FEMA, regarding that which. It's just a connecting phrase. It just shifts from naming the introduction to describing what it's about. Ala qari'ihi, upon its reciter. Okay. Here, this upon its reciter now establishes an obligation. He doesn't just say it's recommended for the reciter or it's beneficial for the reciter. He says upon its reciter, meaning these matters are binding for anyone who recites the Quran. And then notice that he now changes to qari. Okay. He mentions a qari, a reciter. In the previous line, he mentioned mukri, the teacher. So why has he switched from mukri to qari? Because the rules of tajwīd are not only for the teachers, they are an obligation for every person who recites the Quran, whether beginner or advanced, whether teacher or student. Thus, the poem is addressed to all reciters and not only specialists. Okay. And ayya'lama, that he must know. He must know these. Learning these rules is not optional. It's a duty because it preserves the correct recitation of the Book of Allah. So he's putting special emphasis on how every Muslim should learn how to recite the Quran properly, and then it's not just an optional refinement. He's preparing the student to take the upcoming rules that he's going to give you very seriously. So with this line, Ibn al-Jazari officially opens the door to the science of tajweed. He tells the student that what follows is foundational, a structured introduction that every reciter needs to learn, and that tajweed is not a luxury, nor a matter of just beautification alone, but a duty upon everyone who recites the Quran. So this line, it shifts from the praise to purpose, from devotion to discipline, from just thinking to action, preparing the reciter to walk the path of correct recitation with clarity and intention. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين جزاكم الله خيرا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته